Hello YouTube, Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review for you, as is usual. So for this one we're going to go up to the road to Aberdeen again and revisit the Brewdog Brewery up there, but this time we have a collaboration one which is brewed with Oskar Blues Brewery from Lyons in Colorado. So this guy is called the Shipwrecker Circus, which is a 10.5% barley wine ale, and this is actually only my third barley wine ale if I remember correctly, after the Nonya 100 and also the second anniversary ale from the Cromarty Brewery in the Highlands as well. So it's quite cool to be reviewing another barley wine for you. But as is usual with my beer reviews, I'll take you through a brief history of both the breweries in this case. It will be very short since there's two of them this time, but as always, if you are simply interested in the tasting of this beer, feel free to fast forward a few minutes into the video and you will catch that. The brewery websites are in the video description for you below as well, so check those out, and there are the links to my other Brewdog and my future Oskar Blues beer reviews for you. So the Oskar Blues is a completely new brewery to me. I've never tried anything from these guys before. So anyway, Brewdog is the love child of James Watt and Martin Dickey, and it was founded back in 2007 at a small brewery in the Keswick Industrial Estate in Fraserburgh in the very northeast coast of Scotland. But they've actually more recently moved to their brand new purpose-built facility in Ellon in Aberdeenshire, which is about 20 miles or so to the north of the city of Aberdeen. And it's actually quite cool with these guys. A lot of their new infrastructure investments, such as that new brewery, are funded through the Equity for Punk scheme, which is where fans of the brewery can buy shares in the brewery in exchange essentially for an unlimited discount, if you like. It's the different percentages of discount that you get over the period of your life depend on how much money you actually invest in the brewery. So it's a very, very cool way for them to actually get investment in and to sort of maintain ownership and control of the brewery at the same time. So it's very, very cool actually. But this brewery is largely experimental, and they're inspired by the sort of American craft brewing renaissance, and pretty much any style you can think of, these guys will have done it at some point in their history. And they've also are quite well renowned for their strong beers as well. They've held the title of World's Strongest Beer on 3 separate occasions actually. But they've got several brew pubs throughout the UK as well. Pretty much every single major city has them now. They started in 2009 with the home bar in Aberdeen and expanded since then. They have some international locations now, which is Stockholm and Gothenburg in Sweden. There's also Firenze in Italy, Roppongi in Tokyo in Japan, and also Sao Paulo in Brazil as well. But they're looking to expand into, I think it was Paris, Brussels, Berlin in Europe, and they're also looking at expanding out to Australia, New Zealand, the US and Canada as well. So a lot of cool things to actually come out of this brewery too. And they also have opened up their first bottle shop, so they might expand that into different areas as well. That one is in London, but they're looking to open one in Aberdeen very soon as well. So that's your sort of brief history of the Brewdog Brewery. On to Oskar Blues now. Now, this company was founded as a restaurant by Dick Dale Katakis in Lyons in Colorado in 1997, and 2 years later they began brewing beer in the basement of their restaurant. But the brewery are credited by some as having been the first craft brewery in the USA to actually can their own craft beer that they were doing. I mean this company did it themselves. Some other craft breweries had actually done the canning had the canning done under contract by other companies, but Oskar Blues were the first ones to kind of can the beer and make the cans themselves, if you like. So quite cool in that sense, quite pioneering, and they are actually very famous for selling all their beers in these cans. But this actually started with the release of their flagship beer, which is Dale's Pale Ale, in 2002. But by 2011 many other breweries were actually doing this, and in 2009 the Oskar Blues Brewery had founded the Burning Can event, which actually was a sort of a confederation, if you like. It was a bringing together of all the different craft brewers who actually canned their beers in the US, and now all of their beers are actually distributed in resealable aluminium containers, and they're the largest craft brewery by volume in the United States that do this, and they're also the second largest brewery or craft brewery in the state of Colorado too. Of course, Colorado is a very, very famous state for craft beer. I mean, you've had Odell's, Flying Dog and Oskar Blues as well, and there's some other really good ones there that I hope to go and visit at some point when I get back out to the States. But in 2013 they actually opened up a satellite brewery in Brevard in North Carolina, and this place can brew between 40,000 and 85,000 barrels of beer per year. But the original Oskar Blues Bar and Grill is still open in Lyons and apparently has 45 different tap beers at any one time, so definitely worth checking out if you do happen to be in Colorado at some point. Make the journey and just go there. But let's get on to the tasting of this beer itself now. It should be quite interesting to try this one. As I say, never tried anything from Oskar Blues at all, so I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before we get into it. It's a nice mix from what I can see of the different styles of artwork that you would get from Brewdog and from Oskar Blues. You can just see at the corner there, it's 10.5%. The blurb on this guy, I'll just read that out. That's a common thing with Brewdog beer if you're not familiar with it. This one says, enter through the clown's mouth with all the light bulb teeth. Pay your fare and take your seat. Admit one. Find a seat and wait for it to start. Brewed in collaboration with Colorado's Oskar Blues, this barley wine is everything a circus should be. Unexpected, limitless, and a nightmare for health and safety. And when it's done, you realise it was all some kind of dream. The tent is packed up, the trucks are heading to the next town, but the circus never really leaves, and it's not something you can escape, because we all get the circus we deserve, and this one is yours. So, quite an interesting one here. It's the standard Brewdog bottle cap that's on this one, the white with the blue dog as well. So let's get this guy out and get on with the tasting here. So this guy is 10.5% on the Richter scale. It has the malt base of extra pale Munich crystal and chocolate malts, and it's hopped with Chinook, Cascade and Citra hops, which I believe are actually all from the US. So let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting here. As you can see, a nice smoky opening here, so we'll get this out and into the glass. Incidentally as well, this beer was one that I picked up from Lewis in Thistle News in Aberdeen, who is my sort of dealer of Brewdog. He's Brewdog, Tool and McKellar mainly, but you do pick up some kind of random stuff out of his shop as well. A really nice family run news agents. The link to their page is in the video description for you below as well, so check them out if you are watching from the Aberdeen area of Scotland. So let me just bring the camera up again and check that you can see how this guy is. It's a really dark sort of chestnutty rosewood colour actually. Just having a bit of bother with the computer there, but as you can see, it's a really nice chestnutty rosewood colour, a nice kind of 3/4 finger, half finger of an off-white beigey coloured head, frothy definitely rather than bumpy. But if I hold this up to the light here, it's got a nice kind of ruby tinge to it. I definitely would describe this as being a sort of more kind of rosewood and chestnutty beer than a really kind of dark amber or anything like that. But it looks really, really nice. There's just a little tiny bit of carbonation on these things. Usually barley wines are very, very kind of what do you call it? They're kind of very sort of smooth beers, if you like. So it should be an interesting one for us to try anyway. But let's give it a whiff and see how we get on here. But it smells very dark. A lot of nice kind of sweet fruits in there, but it's definitely got a nice kind of rich roasted caramel malt base in there. But a lot of roasted caramel malt, like I say. Some kind of toasted character too, but a lot of dark and sweet fruits. You're getting some kind of dried figs and dried raisin character. Well, raisins are dried grapes, but you're getting some figs and raisin character from this guy as well. But there's some sort of kind of, pardon me, there's some sort of kind of candied sugar aroma in here too, and the underlying bready character is quite apparent too. But there's something in here that's kind of reminiscent a little bit. There's maybe a little bit of the kind of piney resinous character in here too. I think that's the Chinook hop that kind of brings that out a little bit. Chinook and Cascade are probably the ones actually there that are bringing that out. But it's definitely got a kind of underlying resinous character too, which could be all three of the hops actually now that I think of it. The Citra hop does have that too. But it's definitely got this kind of underlying piney resin or note to it as well. So it should be an interesting take on a barley wine, but mainly some dark roasted caramel malts. The dark sweet fruits, like I'm saying, figs, raisins, a bit of candied sugar, some resins, and a big bready malt base too. So let's give this guy a taste and see how we get on. As you can see, the head is just a nice thin foamy layer now. So let's give it a taste. That's really interesting because it comes in very, very dark and it very quickly subsides and then goes to the nice sweet red fruits and stuff. There's definitely some berry fruits in there that aren't so apparent in the aroma. A little bit of kind of strawberry and other things that kind of come out. Just if you on the first gulp of that, you will get it just subsides very, very quickly, which is really unusual. That roasted caramel malt just goes and you just get this little bubble coming over your tongue, and it has just this nice, really nice strawberry and kind of berry taste to it. It's beautiful. But it's definitely quite complex. As I'm saying, it comes in very, very malty. There's a lot of roasted caramel in there. It's not too strong. The roasted character actually does come back a little bit in the aftertaste and sits at the back of the tongue. But it's not overpowering anything else. It comes in strong, and then, pardon me, it just sort of fades out and then balances itself out. This beer, definitely the components seem to be coming out individually and then they just balance themselves nicely in the aftertaste. But yeah, you've definitely got this roasted caramel character coming out at the start. Some nice bready malts actually mixing in with that, and the roasty character sits at the top of the mouth and just at the back of the tongue as well. It kind of just sits there into the aftertaste too, and you're getting the ready, the kind of fig, raisin, plum, dried fruit character just around the edge, and it's mixed with some, I think there's a little bit of strawberry in there too, the kind of berry fruits, but there's definitely some sort of candied sugar flavour to this one, you know, like fruity sweets and stuff like that. There's definitely some of that in this beer as well. I think in the aftertaste too, you're getting just a little bit of kind of nutty flavour as well, which is quite interesting. And there is just a little bit of kind of sweet chocolate in there too, and that's mixing in with the aftertaste. As I'm saying, the flavour, the sort of individual components come out as you drink it, and then just in the aftertaste it really starts to balance and mix together, which is really interesting. But yeah, it's the flavours in this one, it's a very, very complex beer, so it's definitely one you just want to sit and sip and give it a good go of. But it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, I do enjoy a Barleywine ale. This one maybe isn't quite as... it's a bit darker than other ones I've had before. The roasted character, I would say, is a little bit more prominent. The other ones I've had have been a little bit more fruity. But still, it's really nicely done. But yeah, around the edge of the tongue, you're just getting that nice little bit of the kind of berry fruits mixing with the kind of dark fruits, the figs, the plums, the raisins, however many you want to put in there, and then you've just got this nice nutty, bready and roasted caramel flavour in there. And I think there is just a little tiny bit of chocolate in there, but it is quite subdued by the roasted caramel character there. But it's a really complex beer, this one. It's definitely worth trying if you do manage to get a hold of it. But the body of this one, definitely a full bodied beer. It's lightly carbonated, quite smooth, as I said. It's got a nice oily texture, which actually helps you to bring out just a nice little bit. It helps bring out the strawberry flavours a little bit, but it also helps with the malt base as well. You get just a little bit more of that kind of roasted and caramel flavour, and it helps the dark fruits actually kind of blend together in the beer a bit more. It sort of kind of provides the missing link a little bit, actually, as you would say. But it's got a nice kind of bit of alcohol warmth to it as well. It's not as prominent as some of the stronger beers I've done for you, but it is there, and you do get it on the tongue and just kind of as it goes down. And it's quite dry, actually. It's quite dry in the finish too, and there's just a tiny little bit of bitter character to this one in the mouth too. But overall, you know, I would say with this beer, it's a really interesting take on the Barleywine ale style. As I say, the other ones I've had before tend to be just a little bit sweeter than this because of the fruits. The fruits are a little bit more prominent, but this guy kind of seems to be a bit more of a malty one, which for Brewdog, with them being such a hop-forward brewery, kind of seems a bit unusual. But in the aroma, you do pick up quite a bit of the hops, the kind of hop forward character that you expect with that sort of, as I was saying, that kind of resiny feel that's in there. But you don't taste that in the beer. It smells like this piney resin thing that's common with the kind of double IPAs and stuff that you get from Brewdog, but it's not present really in the taste in the beer in any abundance. But overall, you know, this would be a really beautiful dessert beer, actually. You know, if you've got a nice chocolate cake or something like that, this is probably a good thing to actually pair up with that. So I mean, I would say this is a really, really beautiful beer. You can actually still get this in the Brewdog web shop, and I don't know about the availability with Oskar Blues in the States, but you can still get it from Brewdog, so I would definitely recommend that you check this guy out. And it is a little bit different from the other things I've had before, as I said. But as always, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Let me know that in the comment section your own thoughts on this beer, if you have tried it yourself. It's always interesting to hear whether people kind of agree with my take on the beers or not. But as always, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff, comment, and all of this sort of thing. Interesting to hear your views. But I thank you again for supporting my channel over the last 260 or so videos that I've done now. And I will catch you soon with another one. There will be more Brewdog beer reviews to come, and there will be a few more from Oskar Blues in the future too. So I'll catch you soon. Cheers.